873, enacting section 412533, 412535, and 412573 as advised statuting to procurement. The Committee on Rules recommends that the following bills are proper consideration. House Bill 2873, signed David C. Faucher, Chairman. Mr. President, your Committee on Regulatory Affairs and Government Efficiency have under consideration House Bill 2873 relating to competitive steel bidding questions, and this recommends that the bill be amended as follows. Mr. House, it goes bill. And so it's amended. Your committee recommends that the bill do pass. Signed, Shawna Bullock, Chairman.
Senator Bullock.
I move that when the Committee of the Whole rise a report, it recommends HB2873 a do pass recommendation.
And please read the amendment from Rage.
Mr. President, your Committee on Regulatory Affairs and Government Efficiency have under consideration House Bill 2873 relating to competitive bidding steals questions, and recommends the bill be amended as follows. Mr. House, it goes bill. So it's amended. Your committee recommends that the bill do pass. Signed, Shawna Bullock, Chairman.
And we have a floor amendment. Senator Bullock, I need to have you move the underlying amendment first.
I move the amendment be adopted.
Okay. Floor amendment, please.
Bullock, floor amendment. I move the following amendment to House Bill 2873, Referendum to Regulatory Affairs and Government Efficiency, Strike-Everything Committee Amendment. Signed, Shawna Bullock.
Senator Bullock,
Yes. Do you want me to explain what the floor
move
amendment
the
is?
floor amendment, and then if you'd like to explain it.
I move the committee amendment as amended be adopted. What does the floor amendment do? It just adds an emergency clause.
Okay. Members, any questions or comments? Chair recognizes Senator Epstein.
Right. I rise with a question for Leader Sundaration, if she'd like to answer. On the amendment.
We're on the amendment. We're on the floor amendment to the amendment.
Right.
Okay. Senator Sundaration? All right. Senator Epstein.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Leader Sundaration, this Stryker amendment completely changes the bill, and I've had some information that we realized after the committee.
Ms. Epstein, we're on the floor amendment, not the amendment. All the floor amendment does is adds an emergency clause. You want to talk to the emergency clause?
Right. Right.
Okay, we can wait.
No, actually, I think the reason for the emergency clause is pertinent to Tucson.
Oh, yeah, on the floor amendment.
This is for the emergency clause amendment. Is that right, Mr. Chair?
That's correct, the floor
Then
amendment.
that's where my question goes.
Okay, just
Thank you.
clarifying.
Appreciate that. So, Mr. Chair, Leader Sundaration, this emergency clause is being required, I think, so that it will affect a current and upcoming election. So I believe this has to do with the Tucson referendum, and as I understand it, the people of Tucson very much wanted this referendum. Can you speak to this particular situation and the emergency clause and tell us what's going on in Tucson so we can understand why somebody thinks this needs an emergency clause?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Senator Epstein. I speak to the floor amendment, which adds an emergency clause to the bill as amended through the Rage Committee. And it seems very targeted to be able to impact an ongoing situation, not in the city of Tucson, but actually just outside it, just outside my district, the district LD 17, in fact, where the city of Marana the city council voted to approve some data centers. The residents are upset about data centers moving in because is indeed upset about how quickly these decisions are being made. And the residents sought to refer that decision to the ballot, and they collected signatures, and they worked with an organization to collect signatures to be able to refer that decision to the ballot. And so it seems that the emergency clause here is intended to take effect so immediately that the retroactivity clause of the committee amendment would actually be able to impact the ongoing referendum process that has occurred. And it would be a travesty. This is a democratic effort, the ability of people to refer decisions of city councils to the ballot in an ongoing situation around data centers, and this emergency clause would make it so that this ongoing issue about data centers in Marana would be obviated by the enactment of this bill as with the emergency added to it, so that the people of Marana would be silenced, that their opportunity to have their decision to refer this, their choice to refer this decision by the city council to the ballot would be undone over something so consequential as whether or not data centers should be moving in. So the emergency clause is very important to be pointing out specifically here on the floor amendment as to why this is very relevant to the ongoing situation in Marana around data centers, and what this bill and the emergency clause would do would be to silence the will of the voters.
Senator Epstein.
Just a comment on this part of the amendment for now.
Right.
And so this, I believe, is being brought by an entity I refer to as Bill the billionaires behind this amendment that is making it get done fast, and the striker itself. They are the people who will profit from this specific data center, and they want to quell the voice of the people. So that's the specific point about this rush to get this done and to make it retroactive, and why it's so wrong, because it will quell the voice of the people, and those voting on it should know how much it will affect the people of Marana, and we'll get more to that on the next part of the bill.
All right, Chair recognizes Senator Gonzalez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I rise to comment on the Bullock floor amendment.
Please proceed.
Thank you. Emergency clause already take away the referendum to the people of Arizona to challenge anything that we do here. And so this is a double whammy. Not only is that emergency, the striker doing this, but this amendment further takes away the initiative referendum process of the citizens of Arizona. And so I urge a no vote on the amendment.
Thank you. Senator Bullock, closing comment? No. All right. Members, the question before you is adoption of the Bullock floor amendment to the Rage amendment for House Bill 2873. All those in support, please signify with an aye. Aye. Those opposed with a nay. Nay. Ayes have it, do have it, so ordered. Division has been called. All right, members, the question before you is the adoption of the Bullock floor amendment to the Rage amendment to House Bill 2873. All those in support, please stand. All right, you may be seated. All those opposed, please stand. All right, members, by your vote of 16 ayes, 10 nays, you have adopted the Bullock floor amendment to the Rage amendment for House Bill 2873. Now we're on to the amendment as amended. Senator Bullock.
Yes, when the Committee of the Whole rise report, it recommends HB 2873 do pass.
This is the committee amendment as amended.
Oh, I move the committee amendment as amended be adopted.
Okay. Chair recognizes Senator Sundaration.
I would like absolutely.
Well, you both have your button pushed.
Okay, I'll take it off.
All right. So, no? Okay. Chair recognizes Senator Epstein.
Thank you. I first rise with a comment on this amendment, the Stryker amendment, that changes this bill entirely to say that the people of a city would not be allowed to have their voice be heard. So the situation would be a city council passes an ordinance and the people don't like the ordinance. Currently, the people have the right to refer that to the ballot to say, okay, let's let the voters of the whole city decide, should this become ordinance or not? And that is democracy in action. That is our Constitution is built on that. Our democracy is built on that. Our freedoms are built on that premise. But this bill would take it away. This bill would allow a single person who didn't like the idea of it going to the people to pull it back. And that is wrong. So I would like to ask Leader Sundaration another question, Mr. Chair, if she will answer.
Senator Sundaration, will you stand for question?
Yes, I do.
Apparently she will. Senator Epstein.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this bill does apply specifically to a data center situation. I've just described how it applies to anything, but I'd like to make sure we all understand what's going on with the data center situation in Tucson, because it very much applies to that. In Marana, the city council made a decision, and the people said, hold the phone. We do not want that data center there. I know that in my district, we are very concerned. This has to do with the Stryker, which has everything to do with the situation in Marana and the data center there, because the city of Marana passed allowed a data center to be built. The people said, we don't want that data center, and by referendum. Okay, so my question is, how do the people feel about data centers, and why is it so important to them that they can exercise this right to referendum?
Mr. Chair, Senator Epstein, thank you so much for asking, because this bill now, the Stryker as amended, as we just explained, deals specifically with data centers as well as everything else a city council might do. So it is not solely limited to this case, but now especially that it has the emergency clause, as we explained, this is exactly relevant to the Marana data center situation. And how do people feel about data centers? We're getting a lot of information about how data centers are not popular. 3 in 5 voters recognize that data centers are responsible for household electricity costs. Harvard polling shows 2/3 of those surveyed say a data center would cause local electricity prices to rise, with concerns of a community's overall quality of life being another concern. Between 2023 and 2025, data centers were projected to account for 94% of all growth in energy demand on the APS system specifically, and that's only one of our Arizona utilities. More broadly, electricity demand in Arizona grew by 8% in 2025, which is a growth rate that is 4 times larger than the U.S. as a whole, and all of us are seeing it, our constituents are seeing it. Data centers are popping up very quickly in all of our districts, and we know that those are related. I also want to cite Mr. Chair?
You've gone so far afield of what the text of the amendment is. Let me read it to you. Notwithstanding any other law, a person or organization that files a referendum petition with the city or town clerk may withdraw the referendum petition by filing a written notice of withdrawal with the city or town clerk at any time before the measure has qualified for the ballot pursuant to section 19-12104. It is not speaking at all to data centers. So if you would, please keep your comments to the amendment as amended.
And Mr. Chair, I'll remind you, as we just established, this bill, as with the emergency clause, is specifically geared towards this action in Marana that the city council took, that the voters then collected signatures to refer to the ballot. So it's specifically relevant and related to the language you just quoted to me, and it is about the decision of the City Council to move forward with data center projects. The voters of Marana collected signatures with an organization helping them. If the organization is able to revoke that, as you just described, after filing the signatures, those voters in Marana will no longer have the ability to refer to the ballot this question of data centers that the Marana City Council voted on.
Okay, madam. It does not say the city council in this legislation. It says, I'll read it again, the city or town clerk, not the council. So let's please be accurate as you describe what you're talking about here.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
And this is not just isolated to the town of Marana. This
Correct.
is a statewide effect.
Yes, Mr. Chair, you are correct. This has broader implications for every other city that might be considering actions of this sort, where in Marana a data center decision was made and the city clerk, as you helpfully pointed out, Mr. Chair, can act to withdraw the signatures, the petition with signatures after they were already filed, leaving those voters in the lurch on their ability to refer a ballot proposal forward. And that is exactly, I'm describing exactly the case in Marana, which moved a data center decision forward. And I just wanted to finish answering Senator Epstein's question that I'm citing a Pew Research publication saying more Americans say data centers have a negative effect on the environment, home energy costs, and people's quality of life nearby than say they have a positive effect. That's in the 30s versus 4%. In contrast, Americans are more likely to see positive than negative effects on local jobs and local tax revenues.
Okay, Senator, for the third time, this is not about data centers. This is about a person or organization that files a referendum petition with a city can also withdraw it. That's their option. That's what it says in this amendment. So please stay to the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. That is exactly the case that I'm describing with the Marana City Council decision, in which voters collected signatures with an organization's help. But I'm happy to move on to different questions.
Thank you. Senator Epstein.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In the case of this bill, I would have another question for Leader Sundaration, specifically about when a person or organization that files a referendum petition with a city or town clerk files such a petition, reading directly from the law to make sure you know this is relevant. When that happens, as it happened in Marana, then that person, or that organization, this bill would allow them for backsies, take it back, and as though it never happened. But what happens to all the voters who signed that petition? What happens to their rights? This bill would say that the person or the person or organization that files a referendum petition would have the ability to take it back. But what about the thousands of people who signed the petition? Where are they left? And Leader Sundaration, I'll ask you to answer that, being a lawyer and all.
Mr. Chair, Senator Epstein, caveat that I have not, I'm not looking at the law directly, but I would anticipate that in situations like these, as we're now familiar, having just ourselves gone through a candidate challenge period, that there are timelines involved with the referrals of these measures to the ballot. And the voters who have worked with an organization to collect signatures to be able to put that referral onto the ballot were in reliance of that partnership and in reliance of that organization continuing to move their will forward if that organization is after filing those signatures able to then withdraw the petition, those voters are left completely in the lurch. They are, as to say it, some might say, SOL. There is no other recourse for these voters because the time involved in collecting those signatures is significant, and the time in which you have to file those referrals is limited. So they will be left with no other option if we allow this kind of situation to occur, where an organization can withdraw the petition with those signatures after they have been filed.
Mr.
Senator
Chair,
Epstein?
I now have a question for Chairman Bullock, if she'll answer as chair of the committee that put this striker on the bill.
Senator Bullock declines.
Declines. Well, that's too bad, because I think it's important that a person who is sponsoring an action should
Do you have
defend
a
it.
question or a comment, Jim?
Yes, Mr. Chair, then I'll go on with a comment for this bill. I think it's unfortunate that a person who puts forward an action is not willing to defend it, especially when, in this case, the consequences of this bill, if it passed, could be that thousands of people lose their right to be heard. And this bill would give power to a single person or organization that files a referendum. They would singularly have the power over the voices of the thousands of people that signed the petition. I think it would be important for anybody who wants to put that forward to defend it. But hearing none, I think I have reached the end of my cow questions and comments.
Thank you. All right, members. Senator Sundaration.
Mr. Chair, I rise for a comment on the amendment as amendment.
Sure.
Thank you. Yes, and we've spent significant time already talking about how the emergency clause added makes it very clear of its applicability specifically to the Marana Data Center case. But there are these broader concerns that we also, because this applies more broadly to other situations, and I want to note that even, stakeholders who might be in support of this are not unified or speaking with one voice, because what we also hear is that some of these, what this would do would take away the power to influence policy through the referral process. And finally, I guess my final comment here is to say that because we know that this is broader than just data centers, but this is in response to a specific ongoing data center problem that would silence the voters of Marana specifically through this. That as I mentioned, voters know that their costs of electricity are rising, that large loads are contributing to the costs of electricity that are rising rapidly, and we're seeing rate case after rate case.
Point of order has been called.
Germaine, there in those last comments, none whatsoever.
Yeah.
You've explained the amendment at least twice, if not 3 times, and maybe I should read it. I don't have a copy in front of me, but maybe one more time, maybe somebody will catch on.
Thank you, Mr. Leach, but I believe that would be dilatory, which is exactly what we're experiencing from you, Senator Sundaration. So please, keep it to the amendment. Again.
Okay, Mr. Chair, the amendment, I guess I could say again, allows the city clerk to withdraw the petition after it has already been filed, silencing the voters' voices when they, in this Marana case, seek to prevent their energy costs from rising as a result of large loads like data centers moving in next door. I urge everyone to vote no, because this is in fact being pushed by data centers to bypass the city process, the city referral process, and to silence the will of the voters when they dare to raise their voices against the the quickness at which data centers are moving in right next door to them.
Thank you. All right. Senator Kavanaugh.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I rise in support of the amended Rage Amendment.
Would you like to make a comment, or you
Yes,
want to ask
comment.
a question?
Comment.
All right.
We've been enough questions. Historically, people who have belonged to both private and public bodies have had the right to withdraw an amendment to a bill, up until the point where it's voted on. This is well grounded in Robert's rules, in Mason's manual, their equivalents in other countries, and this goes back historically. If you make an amendment or or a bill, you can withdraw it. And to the extent that the Miranda situation relates here, it's probably because what happened there caused people to suddenly realize that this universal historic right to withdraw before a vote was missing in state law. And this corrects an error in state law. And as to the argument that people who signed the petition are being left in the lurch, well, you know, if I introduce a bill and I've got 10 co-sponsors, I don't have to get the signature of all my co-sponsors if I want to withdraw my bill. So this simply puts state law consistent with universal and historic rights of people who propose measures to public bodies or private bodies. And I support the amended Rage Amendment.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Kavanaugh. Chair recognizes Senator Leach.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I rise for a comment.
Please proceed.
I'm in total support of this amendment, I'm in total support of this bill. I want to clear up something that the voters of Marana have not been silenced. This issue has come up, the issue of data centers started actually with Tucson. And the whole south of the Gila, it does exist, race fans, it does exist, have been talking about data centers into last fall. I know that personally, the city council, the town council, it is a town, not a city, had a meeting and they had overflow attendance and they stayed there until every citizen, every voter had a chance to voice their concerns, complaints, or support. So to say that the voters of Marana, my voters, the voters that have put me in this chair, are left voiceless, that is incorrect. That's simply not true. They have had their chance, many chances. They have board meetings at least once a month, if not more. So I just want to assure those on the floor and those watching, the Marana voters have had a chance to have their voice heard. It has been loud and strong. And with that, I urge support of the Winnegar Bill 2873.
All right. Chair recognizes Senator Epstein.
I rise with a comment.
Madam, you've already had a comment on the amendment.
In the Senate, we can comment and comment and comment again.
All right. Please proceed.
Thank you, sir. I would like to rebut gently the comment that was made that says that in bodies that consider legislation or other policies that use rules such as Robert's rules, that it's common to withdraw your motion, to withdraw your amendment. But in those bodies that use Robert's rules, there is also ways for the others to make a motion also. In our state law, when it comes to city referenda, the voters have no other option. They cannot say that they want to keep it. And if there were a way for them to say, no, I want to keep that ballot measure, then that would be acceptable. But so the analogy to Robert's rules and this situation with city referendum, I don't think it's analogous. I don't think it's the same. It's apples to peanut butter. So I just think that this bill really does take away the voice of voters to have their say at the ballot, even though they may have had their say in the city council meetings and in the boardrooms.
Okay,
This bill takes away their voice at the ballot.
You've made this point several times already. All right. Members, any other questions or comments? Seeing none, the question before you is adoption of the Rage Amendment as amended to House Bill 2873. All those in support, please signify with an aye. Those opposed with a nay. Ayes have it, do have it, so ordered. Senator Bullock. Beg pardon? Oh, division's been called. All right, members, division's been called. The question before you is adoption of the Rage Amendment as amended to House Bill 2873. All those in support, please stand. Mr. Dunn's over here. Did you get Mr. Dunn? All right, members, be seated. All those in opposition, please stand and be counted. All right, members, by 15 ayes, 11 nays, you have passed the Rage Amendment as amended to House Bill 2873. Senator Bullock.
Yes, I move that when the Committee of the Whole rises a report, it recommends HB 2873 as amended, a do pass recommendation.
All right, members, any questions or comments? Seeing none, the question before you is when the Committee of the Whole rises a report, House Bill 2873 as amended, receive a do pass recommendation. All those in support, please signify with an aye. Those opposed with a nay. Ayes have it, do have it, so ordered. Division's been called again. All right, members. With the division call, I need to have all of those in support of House Bill 2873 as amended, please rise and be counted. All right, please be seated. All those opposed, please stand and be counted. All right, members, by your vote of 15 ayes, 10 nays, you have given House Bill 2873 as amended a due pass. Mr. Majority Leader.
Mr. Chair, I move that the Committee of the Whole rise and report.
Members, motion before you is for the Committee of the Whole to rise and report. All those in support, please signify with an aye. Those opposed with a nay. Ayes have it, do have it, so ordered.